Welcome back, Chico and The Grin, episode number 22. I'm half your host, Chico.
Other half, The Grin.
And we're here on Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo, you guys. We are recording this on the 4th, so chances are you're either going to hear this on the 5th or after at some point.
Yeah.
So, just wanted to let you know that we are here having a good time.
Yes.
We have lime-a-ritas and strawberry-ritas. We are not sponsored by Budweiser, but we fucking should be. And today we're going to be talking about some very controversial topics.
As always,
that have been in the news that everybody's talking about. And I think you're going to find that our opinions are probably not going to be ones you like.
Nope.
Or maybe they are, depending, I guess, because you're listening to this podcast still, and it's episode number 22.
Yep.
So, Mr. Grin.
Smalls.
Grin.
The guy.
The guy with the
man
grin.
with the freckles.
That's right. Kanye West.
What about him?
Has been in the news all over the place for the past almost month because he has become a Trump endorsee.
No, he's been a Trump endorsee.
Exactly, but people don't know that. People think he had nothing to do with Trump. They forgot that he visited Trump in Trump Tower right after he won the election.
I thought he went before.
I thought it was after.
I'm not sure. I know Steve Harvey met with him too.
Yep, Steve Harvey is part of that whole clique. So what do you think? I know Kanye is controversial for some people, and for other people, he's just, whatever. He's an artist, he's a designer. As someone who's an artist and a designer like you, what do you think is going on? I mean, do you care? Is it something that you're surprised by?
All right. Number one, I don't care. Because to me, Kanye West is a musician, he's an artist, he's a designer, so his opinion on politics does not influence my opinion on politics. When it comes to any celebrity, I don't care who they vote for. I don't care what their message is when it comes to politics, right? Because when you're a celebrity, regardless of how people think about it, you can be paid to do something.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
It's just like when you have a bunch of people talking about this, that, and other, they're against the system, this, that, and they want to go for this, and they're for the people and that. But who did they endorse during the primaries and election? Hillary Clinton.
Exactly.
So if Kanye or Billy Bob or MC whatever wants to endorse Trump, then let them. It has no effect on me whatsoever. Over the last few days, like the other day, right, when it came up and everybody was like, when I say everybody, I mean people on the internet. When it came up on the internet and it was all over the place, Kanye said this and that, I was like, I took it with a grain of salt, right? My girl asked me about it. I told her exactly what I just told you. I was like, I don't care. He's a celebrity. It has no effect on me, right? So the other day, I'm at the day job, and I'm like, let me just listen to this on my own, right? Because it died down a little bit. I wasn't seeing it a lot posted. I wasn't seeing it I wasn't seeing Kanye in my feed like that. So I was like, all right, let me go back and hear about it. Because I remember you said you posted something and you wanted to talk about it tonight.
I posted about the TMZ interview.
So I go online. I heard first thing I listened to, because I couldn't watch it at work. So the first thing I listened to was the interview he had with Charlemagne from, was it Power 105, right? Yep. The Breakfast Club.
Yeah,
that's Charlemagne the God. Yep. And it was a good interview. I ain't gonna lie. It was a very good interview. Charlemagne asked some good questions, and I dug it, right? And I was like, all right, this is the Kanye that I know. He says some crazy things. He says some intelligent things. He says some creative things. It was like, okay, this is Kanye. I get it, right? And it was informative. They talked about a lot for over an hour. And then I did another search because I was like, well, the TMZ thing, where did that come about? So I did a search for that. And I didn't want to, like, what everybody was posting online that I saw was just clips.
Right, it was all edited.
Yeah, it was just all these little clips and snippets of stuff. I was like, no, let me listen to the full interview. So I found a full clip on YouTube, right? And it was dope. I was listening to it, and I don't mean the interview was dope, like what he was saying was like all that, but I'm just saying like the fact that I found the unedited version of what they were showing on TV or whatever, or on their channel. And so I listened to it, and it's from start to finish. All the people that jumped in, they said stuff and blah blah blah. And that dude, I think his name was Vance from TMZ.
Yeah,
what he was saying was on point. But I mean, Kanye, his whole line about the slavery being involuntary and all that shit, I'm like, that's some bullshit. But that's I could talk about that another time, right? Because that involves so much, people, their spirit being broken and beaten down. It was like, but whatever. But that's another subject. But the rest of what Kanye was saying, I'll listen to it, and he actually defended. He was able not to defend, but he was able to give logic behind everything he said, especially about supporting Trump. And the fact that the man was, he was like, he's a free thinker, and he even said why he was wearing the America is Great hat, Make America Great Again hat. And he said, like, yo, it might have been a bad thing, but, you know, I saw it as a why not make it? You know, like his explanation for it, I was like, oh, I get it. I understand it.
Yeah.
You are making some bit of sense. Whether I agree with you or not, you're explaining yourself. Now, if people don't want to hear you, if they don't want to listen to what you're saying, that's another topic.
That's another story altogether.
But he explained himself.
Right.
And there was one incident in a TMZ clip where one of those reporters, whatever they have, I don't know their title, the correspondents, but she said, like, she was trying to talk down to him and say all this other stuff, and he was just like, how? You know, he was just like what I got from it was, and this is what I saw online with everybody's comments and all this shit. It's like people are in their fucking feelings, man. It's like this guy is not allowed to go against the norm because of the color of his skin.
Yep.
He's not allowed to think outside the box because of the color of his skin. I'm like, that's bullshit. People flip-flop all the fucking time. Any of these high-profile celebrities, hip-hop artists, R&B artists, musicians, listen to their music, look at their politics, look at their lifestyle. They all flip-flop through the years. All of them. There's not one high-profile celebrity that hasn't flip-flopped through the years. So to attack Kanye West because he chooses to be a free thinker and to actually have logic behind why he's doing something rather than just saying it's the right thing to do, he's like, no, why not? This, that, and the other. And give reasons for it, reasons for his actions. I'm like, that's bullshit for you just to hate on him.
Right, because they're hating on him because they don't understand.
They don't want to understand.
They don't want to understand, but they also what they fail to understand is that he's doing it because what he's doing, possibly what he's saying and doing, is because it makes sense to him in his situation, whereas a lot of what he experiences, no one else has to experience.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I'm not saying that he has a hard life, but I'm saying when you live, you know, when you're a millionaire, you know, multimillionaire music artist, your life experience, what you experience on a daily basis, is drastically different from a guy who wakes up every day and goes to his desk job and makes $70,000 a year. You know, it's a whole different perspective. So maybe what, you know, where he's at in life right now in his situation is what's determining his ability to rationalize this in his head, which is fine. But like you said, what I hate is people they refuse to look at it from his perspective. Like, if you're looking at somebody's argument and you don't understand their argument, it doesn't mean that they're wrong. It just means that maybe you haven't thought about it. Think about putting yourself in their shoes. Think about it. I'm this person. I make this much money. I do this for a living. What could my daily experience be like to the point where this is what I believe? Why? How would I rationalize that if I was him? Right?
Like people are so quick to judge Kanye and to say all this stuff, and I'm like, fuck you. Like if my life, like I don't care about many people, right? My goal is like to do what I can to help people, right? To do positive things out there in the world, to contribute with my art, all that shit. I try to give back, right? I don't have time to sit here and care about a fucking celebrity and what they said,
right,
and put them on this high pedestal. And when people do that, I'm like, what the fuck is going on with your life that you got to sit here and spend your days judging this dude, talking about this dude for whatever? Like, you care that much about somebody? You're that hurt? Like, really?
We live in a society where we put
bullshit.
Yeah, we put our celebrities on such a high pedestal that it's a personal thing when something like this happens. I mean,
it's ridiculous.
It is. It's a weird way to dedicate your time to worrying about other people, especially people that you'll never meet, likely that will never care about you, that will never do anything for you. But to focus that much energy and to just involve your life around that. And, you know, it's not like he's saying anything crazy, aside from the slave thing, which was kind of crazy. But
yeah, that was fucked up.
He's since, like, explained what he meant by that, and he said something to
But even in the fucking TMZ thing, he tells a guy, he was like, I am sorry if I offended you, if what I said hurt you. He apologized to the dude.
Yeah.
But they're not talking about that shit.
No.
They hugged it out. He was like, yo, man, I don't want, and there was a whole thing they didn't show in the clip. He was like, yo, if I go over there and hug you, you gonna hit me? Because the dude was upset. He was saying some shit. And he's like, no, I'm not gonna hit you, Kanye. And he was like, I want to give you a hug. He's like, I didn't, he was like, and Kanye was like, yo, what I said offended you, I didn't mean to do that. And they apologized, but they don't show you that shit.
Right.
And I'm listening to this and I'm like, wow. There's a lot that these clips are leaving out, but people are focusing on. And now I'm not sitting here saying that I agree with what Kanye was saying.
Yeah.
But the aspect of the fact that people are targeting this dude, a celebrity, about this shit. I'm like, yo, my man, do you understand what's going on in the world? Puerto Rico is fucked right now.
Yep.
They're Americans. It might not be a state, but it's fucking U.S. territory, and they have the same rights as us, right? And they're fucked right now. They're in debt. They're just fucking I can't call it country. The fucking territory is shit. It still don't have electricity in some parts.
Yeah.
Right? That place is going to hit rock bottom. People are going to come in and fucking gentrify that place.
Well, that's good that you brought that up because it's a segue into another thing.
Man.
So let us know what's going on in Puerto Rico. To be honest, I've only seen a few articles here and there about the infrastructure still being rebuilt, and then they have another storm, and then a fucking tree goes down, and then power goes out again.
Well, power was out for a while in some parts.
Right. I mean, they've got it back to most of the islands.
But not all of it.
Well, yeah.
As far as I know, I think there was 20% of Puerto Rico that was still without power, right? But that's not the major issue. The major issue is that Puerto Rico is in debt.
Yeah, that's
severe
severe debt.
Now, from some of the articles that I read, I believe like shit hit the fan even before the storm came. When the storm came, that was like the icing on the cake. It was like there was no way in hell we can repair any of this because there's no funds for anything.
There's no budget for anything.
All the major banks left.
Yep.
All the big power players left. Now, I was seeing reports that like the people that are there to somewhat control the shit aren't even the Puerto Rican, I can't call them military.
The police.
The police.
Yeah.
They're private sector. They're like Blackwater.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck is this? Nobody knows who they are. They're just walking around wearing
Unmarked
uniforms. They should show rank. That's it. But nobody knows who they are, and they have fucking guns and they're running shit. And I'm like, this is not good. This is not going to end well.
Yeah.
So of course people are protesting. They're really protesting, and I don't mean they're protesting with nice signs and everybody's smiling and taking photo ops and doing selfies and shit. They're protesting going against the armed guards. There are people out there with no weapons going against people with weapons because they are fucking angry and they hit a last resort. That is a true protest. That is a true march, right? That's when people are like, yo, you listen to us. We need help. And nobody's helping them. But people want to get online and talk about Kanye.
Yep.
Kanye, he said in one interview that he bought 300 acres to build a housing community because he wants to build like a creative
commune.
Not a commune, but a community.
Okay.
So he's like building all this stuff on 300 acres. I'm like, goddamn, dude, you got some money.
Yeah.
Right. So people want to hate on Kanye, but I'm like, fuck out of here. There's real shit, real issues going. Somebody told me that it's terrible that Kanye is still feeling some stuff because he's still mourning for his mom. I'm like, it ain't fucking terrible. What's terrible is going on in Puerto Rico, how people still in Puerto Rico don't got the basic quality of life that they should have, especially being a United States citizen.
Correct.
That's terrible.
Yep.
People focus on that shit. I get heated when I hear anybody talk about a celebrity. I'm like, who gives a fuck? If a celebrity fucks up and they go to jail, who gives a fuck? They were given the keys. They fucked up. You had your chance. I don't care. Right? If Kanye goes on and he says some shit, who cares? He's not hurting anybody.
Right.
Will his words hurt somebody? I don't know. Will a Trump supporter hurt somebody? I don't know. Shit's going to happen regardless. Right? But you're attacking this dude where there's a lot of other issues going on right now in the world. We're at war. There's talks of a World War III. I'm like, what the fuck? That's some shit we need to talk about, not some fucking celebrity.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's like most of the times nowadays. Everybody's focused on celebrities. It's a celebrity culture.
It's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
It's like Edward Bernays, man. You know what that is?
Yeah. It's just one of those things. It's our culture. It's a cultural problem where we put so much emphasis and focus and attention on celebrities because we want them to be
our friend.
our friend. They want us. They want celebrities to be indicators of like moral standing. Like, there's no way somebody like Kanye did it, but Kanye is a little bit of an anomaly. But imagine a big time white musician or actor coming out for Trump, who's or rather
Kid Rock.
Right. Like, but he's also expected. But imagine if Kid Rock had come out for Obama. That's essentially the equivalent.
Yeah.
Right? If Kid Rock out of nowhere went nowhere, was just like, I like Obama, he's my homie. Right? Like, people would be like, but it'd have to be somebody even bigger than Kid Rock.
Kid Rock was from like the inner city of Detroit.
Right.
And then he went all country.
Yeah. But there's gotta be a better example other than Kid Rock. Like, if Clint Eastwood had come out for Obama, that would have been
Gran Torino.
Right.
That's my shit.
That me too. That would have been the equivalent, because everybody would have been like, "Wait a minute, what the fuck's going on?"
Man.
It's so good.
It's so funny.
They said so many fucked up things, and that. Yep. And I like how he didn't care. He just looked at you. He called you a nip or a zipperhead. That was my favorite when he called them zipperheads. I was like, God damn. What you call me? What? Just hanging out on his porch drinking PBR. When that movie came out, I didn't even know what PBR was. I didn't even know that was a real beer brand. I saw it in the movie, and I went to a supermarket and I saw it, and just because Clint Eastwood was drinking it, I bought a 6-pack. That was the first time I had PBR. I must have been like 23. That was the first time I drank that shitty ass beer.
That was a good ass movie.
Oh, it's
His
so
son
good.
sucks as an actor.
He's not that great.
Want to be Paul Walker, motherfucker.
He's not that great.
Fuck him.
Yeah, want to be Paul Walker.
Yeah, put him in Fast and the Furious.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah. The other, they have a new blonde
Can't
white
fool
guy.
me, man. Can't fool me.
You can't fool me. Oh boy. Okay, so there's something else we got to talk about, and maybe even bigger than Kanye at this point. Bill Cosby finally found guilty of rape. After how many? Was it 2 counts, or 1 count?
That went to trial?
The one that he lost.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can't speak on the details because I haven't read on the whole case.
But they found his ass guilty.
Doesn't matter to me.
Why not?
I've been alive 39 years. 39 years, Bill Cosby has been the man. From Fat Albert. No, before that, because I grew up in Philly.
Right.
So I remember when I was little, Bill Cosby had a TV show in Philly. I remember it was a black and white. I think it was a teacher or some shit. And then they had the Fat Albert.
Yeah.
Cosby show.
Mm-hmm.
All his philanthropy work, volunteering, donating tons of money that he has yet to get back, even though they took back those honorary fucking degrees they gave him, but nobody gave back the money that he gave.
That's right.
Bullshit.
For those honorary degrees.
So as far as I'm concerned, this stuff that took place with Bill Cosby was a long ass time ago.
Right.
Right? I'm not saying he did it. I'm not saying he didn't do it. What I'm saying is, as far as I know, the man has lived a great life. He lived a life that was honorable. Right?
Right.
Whether he made mistakes, it's just like if somebody did murder. It's like you made mistakes or whatnot, right? All I can say is, like, from what I read of the case, the shit doesn't make sense. Now, there was a big thing about the case being it was Quaaludes that he gave the woman.
Right.
Right? It wasn't Quaaludes that he gave the woman. It was medicine. Now, they had said at one point he did admit that he gave women Quaaludes. But this case, he didn't give the women Quaaludes. Now, the jury, they were told, oh, well, Cosby said this at one time. Yeah, but that wasn't relating to this case. And that's what they convicted him on. That's what I've read from the deposition. And I'm like, I don't know, man. All I know is, like, Felicia Rashad stuck by his side.
Yeah.
Cosby's wife stuck by his side.
Mm-hmm.
The man's been on TV, and he's been doing all this stuff in the public eye, not in secret, not behind, like, some high elite Hollywood closed doors like Harvey Weinstein, running shit, like having real power.
Right.
Known for fucking raping and brutalizing women. This is Bill Cosby, low-level guy, an actor. A high-level actor, but a low-level guy in Hollywood. Let's be real, right? He's not the top of the fucking food chain.
Right.
He doesn't have a fucking film studio, right?
Correct.
So I find it very interesting how all these stories are coming out now, or not now, but over the last, 5-6 years?
Yeah, about 5 or 6 years.
They're resurfacing, and I'm like, and in all the cases, they're all sketchy. They're all fucking sketchy,
Well, it's
man.
because they're all super old. and people don't remember things. It's so weird to go to put a case
again.
Yeah,
I stand with Cosby.
yeah. I mean,
That's how I feel.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's hard to rely on eyewitness testimony or whatever you want to call it. Things that happened 30 years ago. Man, I barely remember shit that happened a year ago. How am I going to remember details of something that happened 30 years ago? And it's not
bullshit.
like right. And it's not like Cosby's in it seems like he's not in the best health.
He's like 80 or 89 years old.
Right. Like he's old.
It's like,
he's old.
really?
Yeah. And what they convicted him, and are they gonna send him to jail? What are they gonna do?
I don't know.
How do you send an 89-year-old man?
They can do it.
I mean, yeah, they can do it, but how does that even work? The logistics of it seems weird. And does he get to appeal? Is it like a regular case? Like, what happens now? Because in regular shit like this, if you don't get the outcome you like, you can appeal it. Can he appeal this? And even if he does appeal it and he wins, supposedly, does that forgive him in the public eye? Because I don't think you can come back from that in public eye.
I don't think he's ever going to come back from this.
Right. He might as well just kill himself at this point.
No. But Cosby has money, and I'm sure if he has the opportunity to appeal, he will. But he has tons of money, and he has the money for the right legal team.
Right. But the thing is, do you get to appeal for something like that?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. But I'm saying if he had to, if there is an opportunity, of course he can do it. Yeah.
Right.
But I don't know.
So what happens now? Is he in jail right now? Is he at home? Like, fuck, they gave me
I believe he's out on bail.
That's insane. So they did take him under arrest.
Yeah, he was arrested, but he made bail.
Right.
You're out on bail. And then you have the sentencing hearing.
So what was this? This was the trial.
This was a trial.
So there's one more to go.
Yeah.
If he doesn't appeal.
I don't know how that works, but I know like you have to when you're out on bail, you have the trial, and then you have the sentencing, and that's when you have to turn yourself in. And you're like, okay, well, you're gonna do like 2 years or whatever. You gotta show up here because you're out on bail.
Right.
If you run,
you're fugitive.
You're fugitive. There's a warrant for your arrest.
That's a crazy life. Imagine. I can't even imagine being.
But see, most people don't get that because most people don't have the money for all of that.
Right. I can't even imagine being told, like you're out on bail, you have a quote unquote freedom right now. He goes, but in 10 days you need to be here, and we're gonna send you to this place for 2 years where you stay in this room. Like I can't even imagine. That freaks me the fuck out.
But he's a high profile celebrity, so chances are, if he does go to prison, he'll be in life protective custody.
Either that or they're gonna send him to a fucking one of those country club prisons where they don't even have gates or fucking walls.
Like there's one in Danbury.
There is?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
But it depends on the crime. Those are like more like white collar crimes.
I see.
This one's a sex crime, so I don't know if that applies.
I wonder if they'll have the entire cast of Law & Order SVU. I can't wait for his episode.
I remember when they did Law & Order SVU one on Michael Jackson.
I remember that too, yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah. I can't wait to see how they portray this one on SVU because they'd be making that shit super dramatized.
Yep.
Super dramatized. Dun, dun. Oh, that fucking intro is a bullshit is what it is. Speaking of Cosby and sexual deviancy, before we get into this next topic, which is going to be about
Is Seven Heaven still on TV?
No, it's not.
You sure?
But that I'm pretty sure it's not.
They took it off?
Yeah, after that guy got in trouble.
Because I know people were pissed that it was still on when the Cosby Show was off.
I think they took it off.
Because they took off the Cosby Show and A Different World.
Yeah.
And the Cosbys. You remember that one?
Yeah, of course.
After that?
I think
that was the funny one.
Yeah, I think they took Seventh Heaven off. I think.
But you're not sure.
I'm not sure.
See,
I'm not 100% sure. So apparently there was this actress that was on Smallville. For those who remember that, in the early 2000s, the Superman show that was based in Smallville, Illinois, Kansas, Smallville, Kansas.
You didn't watch that shit?
You didn't watch that?
I gave up on WB after Angel was over.
Really? I hated Angel.
Angel was a shit, man.
I like Buffy. I don't like
Buffy
Angel.
was cool too.
I don't like Angel.
Angel was a shit.
Angel was lame.
You crazy.
That was David Duchovny. Ugh.
That was the end of the 90s, man.
Was it Duchovny? Is it David Duchovny? No, it's
that's the guy from X-Files.
Oh, that's right.
God
damn. I'm fucking up. What was
that? Was David Brariones, something.
Right, I can never pronounce his name. I thought David Duchovny. I don't know why.
Spike.
Yeah, Spike.
Yeah.
I don't know why David Duchovny came to my head. That's weird.
X-Files.
Yeah, but this chick that was on Smallville, I believe she played Chloe, right? I think she played Chloe.
Never watched it.
Which was Clark Kent's friend in high school, who she ended up having a crush on Clark. She apparently was the head of a sex cult in California.
Not the head.
a very high level.
The recruiter.
The recruiter. And
Yeah.
she allegedly was recruiting other people,
Yep.
including Kristen Kirk, who's also in Smallville, who
Yep.
played Lana, who was fucking fire back then. You saw her on TV. I was like, that is one pretty girl. That was the first time I seen a girl on TV.
She has an interesting look, but I would not call her fire.
I think I call her fire.
I won't
She just
call
has
her
this
fire.
look to her.
She does have a look to her.
Until she played Chun-Li in that Street Fighter series,
yeah,
and
that
I
was
was like,
horrible.
that's terrible.
That's so
You
fucked up.
ruined that.
That's like almost worse than that's pretty much the same what Scarlett Johansson did in Ghost in the Shell.
Yep, essentially. But she was recruiting celebrities for this sex cult
Yep.
in California that was apparently supplying underage girls as well to these high-level executives in Hollywood. I don't know how much of that is true. I want to say it's probably mostly true, if I had to guess. But it involved tons of people. And this isn't the first time we've heard about sex cults in California and in Hollywood. That's like an old thing. That's like, going to these actors or producers' mansions in the middle of nowhere in California, and you walk in and you realize it's a fucking orgy or something.
But here's the thing. How many times has a celebrity came out and talked about this? This isn't nothing new. The thing is, when celebrities, and I'm talking about like not people of color, white celebrities are talking about this shit, and a lot of them have, nobody says anything. They ignore it. They're like, oh, it's okay. I'm like, fuck you mean? Did you listen to what the person just said? You know what I'm saying? It's like, like when I hear Corey Haim talk about some shit, when I hear Elijah Wood talk about some shit, when I hear Macaulay Culkin talking about some shit, when I hear fucking what's her name, the famous one, Poltergeist.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking about. I forget her name.
God damn it. But anyways, her.
Okay.
Right? She grew up in that stuff, and it's like, it's no secret. And it's constantly being told. It's constantly being found out. Like a couple years ago, the FBI did a big bust when it was like 300 law officials and politicians were busted. Over in England, they got Jimmy Savile and all of his connections busted for pedophilia. Busted. Horrible shit. Jimmy Savile, that whole case was just like, this dude had organizations where he would give money to children and all that, like children groups and programs and all shit. It was just feeding these kids to pedophiles.
Jesus.
Yeah, man, look this shit up. It's deep. And then the whole Pizzagate thing here, and it's like, it never ends. Like, people think it's make-believe, but I'm like, dude, this shit has been talked about for years. It continues to be talked about.
Right.
And people ignore it, and I'm like, how the fuck can people ignore this shit?
I feel like it's one of those things that people know about, and then when it sort of starts coming to light, they start covering it up with, like, fake news, for lack of a better term, I guess. I was trying to avoid using fake news, but and then so like now you don't know if it's real, you don't know if it's a conspiracy, you don't know how to look at it, right? So most people are like, well, it sounds crazy, but if the radio wasn't all this stuff that was telling me this is bullshit, I would probably ignore it. But it's like I still think about Pizzagate to this day, like it just seems too convenient, Like it seems too convenient and implausible that would be true. A pizzeria in DC, really? That's the head? That's where it's all happening? That's where it's going? And like all that stuff from that here, and like the quotes of what people were saying and stuff, and like their chants, it was retarded. But yeah, I don't know. That shit's fucking wild. And yeah, so
all I know that I'm not a part of the shit. I can't prove it one way or another. But one thing I do know is that people have been talking about the same exact thing for decades.
Pedophilia is like a big thing people bring up, especially because of the satanic aspect of it.
Yeah, and it's always mixed in with Hollywood and the entertainment industry. And for me, it's like, okay, well, if every so often somebody's coming out with the same fucking story, there has to be some truth to it, right? Because why else would somebody come out with something so horrific to be like, I'm just going to say this just to say it for shock value? Like, no, there's nothing you're going to get from telling this story. Mm-hmm. It's not like saying, oh, I saw an alien too. I saw a spaceship too. Okay, well, what are you going to get from that? A little publicity, some shit? this is like, hey man, I've seen some horrible fucking shit with sex trafficking and rape and children and molestation and all this imprisonment and tattoos and like tattoo barcoding.
Right,
people.
right.
It's like it's fucking, man, it's intense. And I'm like, I think people just I believe people are taking this shit with a grain of salt. And it's like, why? And then you got the whole Vatican Church.
Yeah, there.
You know,
I mean, that goes pretty deep too.
And I've been to a Catholic church a lot lately because of the situation I'm in. So I'm like for weddings or whatever.
Right.
And every time I go there, you know, it's always me and another person in the party, and we're just like fucking pedophiles.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah. We
Oh,
both
no.
because we're not with that shit.
Right,
But
right.
we go there because of association, but we're always just like these fucking pedophile motherfuckers.
Oh man.
Yeah, because dude, you got to look at how much money the Catholic Church has paid to pay off people.
Right, to keep them
know,
quiet.
How many times has it come up in the news where the Catholic Church is involved in some type of investigation with pedophilia, molestation, rape, and
Yep.
it's like, damn it, man, again, this fucking organization. Now I'm not saying all the priests out there and all the bishops and the clergy, but come on, man.
That whole thing
Like,
just
what the
seems
fuck?
yeah. There's a lot of things wrong when you look at the Vatican and the Catholic hierarchy structure in general. Think about
The fact that they have enough money to wipe out world hunger.
yeah. But think about it, like there's such luxury and such gluttony with money in the Vatican and the Catholic religion and the Catholic Association, and yet their very religion is based upon a man who essentially took a vow of poverty, had thrown over tables full of gold, and chastised the rich for being greedy.
Mm-hmm.
Yet they demand that the Pope wears this elaborate gown with this elaborate headdress and this elaborate throne in this elaborate palace that's a city-state within the country of Italy.
Yep.
It's its own country within a country.
You know they have the highest crime rate in the world?
Who, the Vatican? What?
Well, that area, because there's so many pit pockets and stuff.
Oh, damn.
So when people get arrested, they get busted, they just say, well, you know, you cross the border, which is just like a block away.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like the highest crime rate is actually over there. I was like, it was on a podcast. I was like, that's kind of interesting.
That's wild.
Because they don't arrest people.
That's
They
right.
just kick them out.
They just kick them out.
But it's such a small area that it's just like, don't come back.
Right. And they're not going to stop anybody from coming
and
into
they just all target tourists.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's a lot of it's petty crime. It's not like
Right.
horrible murder.
I would be so paranoid now if I went to the Vatican. I'd have like all my pockets stitched closed. I have everything like in a security wallet in my pants. Like that's just wild. Jesus. God damn it, Vatican. Get shit together. Start fucking killing people again. Start lighting fires in the middle of the goddamn square because this motherfucker stole something. Cut his hand off. It says to do that in the Bible. That's a big thing. How can you
the Bible says a lot of things.
how
that
can
we
you
don't
steal if you
follow,
have no hands?
You know?
Jesus. But yeah, the Vatican Church and that whole situation, very strange. I don't know.
I feel like
I don't know, John Smalls.
I don't want to attack religion because I don't want to disrespect anybody's religion.
I just respect all y'all religions. Fuck
feel
y'all.
like-
Fuck y'all religions.
you should believe whatever makes you feel better
Science,
about
motherfucker.
life, but
Science,
at the same time, we can't ignore the bullshit.
science, and behold a pale horse. That's all you need in life.
William Cooper.
That's right. You need a lot of science, and then you need some science fiction mixed in with some science and some facts.
You know William Cooper, he didn't believe in reptiles.
No, but then what he write about it in his book?
It's not in his book.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Sure, it is.
He was against that shit.
No, he says it in the book.
Where?
It's a behold a pale horse.
No, it doesn't.
There's a whole chapter on reptiles.
No, it doesn't. Because I remember you had said that, and I was like, did I say that?
There's a whole chapter in there, and you said when
You know I got the book, right?
I know. Go look at the book. There's a whole chapter about reptiles. Okay. He's going to go over and grab the book and we're the original copy, and you're going to go, and there is an entire chapter on reptiles. Go to the table of contents, and yeah. All right, let's see that. He's opening up the couple pages.
1991.
1991. Jesus.
I
That's
bought
an
this
old
in
book.
San Antonio.
Texas.
Yeah. Okay. Alien implants, Air 51, New World Order.
Uh-huh.
Where?
Give me this. Okay, let's see here. Let's see here. Let's see.
He even talks about it in a documentary. Well, not documentary, but an interview.
we're just looking through the table of contents here
A Behold the Pale Horse.
of Behold the Pale Horse by William Cooper. I think it might be alien implants or UFOs in Area 51. I think it's in one of those. But it's like smack in the middle of the book. I remember reading it. Okay, this is bringing back PTSD from reading this book the first time. But I will find it. I will find it in my copy, and I'll let you know the pages. But
This is the book that changed everything.
Yeah, that book is scary because when you read it now, a lot of that shit's either happening or has happened or will happen. It is scary. That's one motherfucker who got a lot of things right.
That is true.
The whole gun situation, the whole sex satanic thing that's going on.
Tracking the RFID chip.
Yep, technology. Like he was and
guns.
Yep, he was definitely
taking over the guns.
Yep,
taking back the guns.
The false flags that people were doing in order so that the government would have the ability to take away your rights.
One world government.
One world government. One language. No cash.
Yep. He laid it all out in this book.
It's a scary time, John Smalls. It's a scary time.
Now I know people are gonna probably whoever's listening to this right now is probably like, oh, these guys are always about the conspiracy theories, but I'm like, man, before y'all jump to conclusions and say like this, that, and other about us, and we're not a conspiracy podcast.
No, we just dip our toes into the conspiracy pool every once in a while.
But we also dip our toes into news. Does that make us like a political podcast?
It probably does in this day and age. People are about their feelings.
You know?
But we talk about art, so we're also art critics. So
I think we're just two guys discussing things.
That's right. And that's the whole idea behind this podcast is to just have a venue to talk about things open, naturally, and without any hesitation, because the last thing you want to do is hear somebody give you the same opinion you've heard 1,000 times before that you probably don't believe.
At least we don't contradict ourselves.
We try not to.
I don't think we do.
I don't think we do either. But, I mean, things change. And I think if we ever change our opinion, we'd be the first ones to recognize that and be like, yeah, well, I changed my opinion because of this.
I believe we're open to opinions. Like somebody pointed it out to me one time after they would listen to the podcast. They were like, and this is their words. They were like, they like us because I'll say something, you say something, but we're not arguing if we have a disagreement. It's like, I'll give my reasons for why I'm saying it, and you'll give yours, and we'll listen to each other. And they were like, that's why I like your podcast.
Well, that's good to know.
I was like, leave a fucking comment on iTunes.
Yes, leave a comment on iTunes if you can. Helps us a whole lot. So, talking about going over to a different topic, yesterday we hung out at your place where we're at right now, and we did a little art session thing.
Yep.
So, you were painting, I was photographing and doing video. What was because it was kind of your idea to meet up. So, like, what was your idea behind this whole thing you were doing yesterday? Because I found it very interesting. It was kind of like an exercise.
I've been in a funk for, I don't know, quite some time now. In a creative, artistic funk. Not a funk where I'm not able to create. I am able to create. But I want to push myself and go to the next level. You know, I've been living and working as an artist officially since I was 19, right? That's when I got my first legit art job. I was like, this is going to be my career. And I made that decision. So I came a long way, and I've done a lot. And I'm about to be 40 soon, so
that limerita.
I let that one out.
Let it out. Let it out. You're good. You're good.
So I don't know. Come up on 40, I was like, all right, well, I gotta improve. That's the one thing I always tell myself about being an artist. You know, it's like you gotta constantly work, gotta constantly improve. You can't just do the same shit over and over and over again. You gotta evolve. You know, evolve the craft. Evolve with what you do with the brushes, with the pencils, with the inks, the charcoals, with the sketches, anatomy, the storytelling. You know, and so like I started this series a while ago. I think maybe all this started in 2013, right? Mm-hmm. So 2013, I quit my day job. I started freelancing, and from there, it opened up a whole another chapter in my life, right? Fast forward, it's 2018, right? So I have these ideas of these projects I want to do, like certain paintings I want to get out, certain stories I want to illustrate and tell, certain things I want to do creatively and visually and artistically, right? So it's also sculptures involved, but it's a certain way I want to have my work look. So that's where I'm at now, right? And the few weeks ago, damn, maybe about a month ago now, because time flies. I had me and my friend, we met up for drinks, right? Just hanging out right in the city. And he's not exactly an artist per se, but he's more of a designer, right? He works for brands. He works for a pretty famous brand, Ralph Lauren. And we were just talking, shooting shit, talking about everything, life, women, art, the whole nine. And he gave me just this thorough, intense critique of my work, but it was also based off of who he knows me as a person, right? And he was like, yeah, man. He was like, you're a deep thinking person. You're intense. He's like, you're always trying to improve. You're always doing something. You're always learning. You're always studying. He's like, but I don't see that in your work. He's like, in your work, I see I see the bold lines. I see your figures. And he's like, it's too literal. He's like, your work is too literal. He's like, you're more than that, right? And I'm just looking at him like, shit. Nobody's ever sat here and told me something as brutal as that. Most people say like, oh yeah, I like your work, but once you try this, or I like this, or this, I like that, or I like this piece. And I was like, but he was like, yo, man, dig deeper. He's like, and then he's been studying a lot of art just on his own. He's just been reading about art history, trying to figure out what it is he wants to do. But instead of doing the art, he's just studying art more, right?
Right.
So I was like, I'm listening, and he's just like, he's going on about it. And he's like, I know the type of person you are, and I want you to portray that on canvas. He's like, it's more than just you creating a figure of this and showing a mother and a child. You got to capture the emotion that made you want to do that on a canvas. The thought that you put into that picture and why you chose this picture, put that on canvas. And I was just like, man, he's like, why don't you try to go abstract? And I was like, that's funny because I used to do a lot of abstract and expressionist work earlier, prior to like me being a graphic designer, right? Because I wasn't taught, I wasn't thinking about all these principles that I have in my head now.
Right.
So it was a long conversation, and then I told him some things. I was like, well, you give me advice. Why don't you just fucking start sketching instead of reading about art, right? But I took it and I told him, I was like, man, it has me thinking, right? Because my thing was with art was, I do my figures, I do my patterns in the background, I do a nice little technique, and it's illustrative. And the moment he told me what he said, it lit something in me, man, right? So since then, I've been, reworking all my paintings that last day. I think I did I got 3 paintings that I've done, reworking them all, right? Like, fuck it. Let me just go back in here. And it's like, it's about not overanalyze, but analyzing your work, taking what he said and morphing it to how it fits in my viewpoint, right?
Yeah.
Not taking his direction like, well, he said this, so I should do this. I'm like, no, I like what he said, but now I got to make it into my words, right? So that's what I did with my work. And there was one piece that I loved, the mother and the child, where I kept the background, but I kind of mixed it in oh man, I added some shade to it, and I love that piece. And then the other 2 paintings I was working on, they're not there yet. They're close, but they're not there yet, right? So I've been working on those for a few weeks. And then the icing on the cake was the Pablo Picasso
that show
TV show, right? On Nat Geo.
Yep.
So, and the only reason I found out about the show is that it came on the Instagram feed. It was like, oh, we're doing a show, Genius Season 2, the series that they're doing, and this time the genius is Pablo Picasso. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. I looked up the first one. I was like, oh, Einstein, cool. Now I want to watch it because I see what they did with
me too.
Picasso shit. I'm like, I'm going to go back and watch this. But the Picasso one, I was like, okay, you have me interested. And then I saw a post that they're doing an event this past weekend. Not this past weekend that just passed. It was like 2 weeks ago now, right? But it was in downtown Manhattan. It was like they're doing an event for the show of Picasso down in it's like it wasn't Fight Eye, but it was more like near Canal Street in I guess 6th Ave. So I go down there, me and my girl, and then we wait in line for I think 45 minutes, right? And we get 20 minutes to the door.
Yep.
And then come to find out, we see this guy that walks out that we both know. He gives us VIP tickets. We get in, just jump the line.
Snap.
Everybody was heated. because he was loud.
That was AMC
right?
Stubbs plus 10.
He was like, "Yo,
Woo.
y'all gotta wait in line. I got because he's like an event thing.
That's
event
amazing.
planner.
That's wonderful.
He's like, I get y'all in. He's like, email it to us. Like, shut it at the door. Like,
oh, they was so mad.
We were waiting in line for a long ass time.
Yeah,
a long ass time. So that was like cool. Go in there. The whole thing was beautiful, man. It was like you go in and they had the different stages of Picasso's life. Each stage was like set up like a studio. So they had like these just props, but it was like it looked very authentic. And I was like, I love it already, right? It's like takes me back to like if I was in Paris or Spain back in the fucking 20s or 40s or 60s or whatever, right?
40s, yeah.
40s, right? You know, some shit. Midnight in Paris style.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and just I was like, yeah, I love it, right? And then they have like these stations set up for like each station has a certain
that's
thing.
what you were doing. Yeah, okay,
So
I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
The photo that I posted was of they had this stage that was set up like a legit stage.
Yeah, yeah.
And one side was blue, one side was red, and they had like all these props. But they told everybody, it's like, we'll give you 3 pictures. Really, they gave us like 10.
Right.
But it was like, because they just kept snapping. But it was like, okay, you can choose three poses, right? And we'll take the pictures. So I'm there, and they're like, oh, put on Picasso's hat. I was like, I ain't putting on I got my own hat, right? But I put on a jacket that they had because the jacket was like this painted artsy coat. And I was like, that's dope. And I put out my little sketchbook, and I was like, I want this shot. And he was like, I was like, just take the fucking shot. Right? And then my girl takes a picture, and then I take another picture, and I was like, that's all I needed, right? Because it's a good shot.
Right.
They email them to me. Then they had like this other station where it was like you can make like this cubism type of postcard, and they printed out the actual postcard, which was dope. So they had like a bunch of like basically gigantic tablets set around, and I'm just getting like it took like maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes just to wait to use a station.
Yeah.
Because people were trying to be all artsy and shit. Like, get the fuck out of here. Let me get busy. So I got busy, and I'm just like, my girl was like, yo, people were looking at you as you were. I was like, don't even matter. I do like a self-portrait, like in the cubism shit. And then when I was done, the picture, the postcard was actually hanging in the front. And it was like, you just grab your postcard. I was like, that's kind of cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah. So
that is very cool.
And then I got an email at the end that said my postcard was selected to be a part of the ad campaign.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. They sent me an email. They was like, yeah, just check the bus stops, the bus stations, and they got like the little screens, and they were like, your postcard's gonna be used in one of our promotions. Because when you walk in there, they let you know that like all the photography that's taken, anything that you do, it's gonna be a part of a promotional campaign. So you're just signing it away, right? As you enter the venue. Yeah. So I was like, cool. But I looked around and said, I'm like, I don't know where this shit's at.
If I see something, I'll let you know. Yeah. I'm assuming your name's gonna be there. Like yeah, John Smalls.
That's the funny thing. So at the end of when I was doing a postcard, they were like, oh, write your name, like sign your name. So I was like, I didn't know it was going to be on the postcard, right? So I put at Art by Smalls.
Nice.
And then when you look, when they printed out my postcard, on the bottom is like big letters, at Art by Smalls.
That's amazing.
If I would have known it was going to be there, I would have put like my nice signature.
Right.
I thought it was going to be like on the back or something.
Oh, they got you.
I was like, but it's cool.
That is cool. No, it's very cool. Absolutely.
But anyways, so between the last few years, speeding up to like the last few months, to finally seeing the first episode of the Picasso show, and the first night they released 2 episodes, and I'm gonna tell you like this, man. For me, that show, and he didn't say anything that was like intense or deep or thought provoking, but the way the show was shot, the music, Antonio Banderas, the scenes, the music, the settings, the artwork, the
outfits.
I was like, God damn, dude, you're speaking to me.
It's good.
You're fucking speaking to me.
Love it. It's an intense show. I could see why you like it.
That was the icing on the cake. For everything that I was feeling and everything that I was doing, it was like, yeah, man, keep doing this shit. And then there was a scene recently on the 3rd episode that came out earlier this week, and there's this girl that one of the women amongst the many, this dude slung that dick, man.
Slinging dick. Slinging dick left and right like a goddamn champion.
Picasso was an old man, but
he don't give
man,
a fuck.
He got it in.
He was getting it.
One of the chicks he was messing with, at one point, she's like, she acts like she's interested in him, and then he's like, oh, you just want to use me for your art. And he tells her, and he's like, to be an artist, you got to like do this all the time, obsess about it. It's a lonely thing. And he goes on this rant. And I was just like, I got my girl out of bed. I was like, wake up. I was like, come here. She's like, what? And I was like, watch this. And I replayed it again. I was like, just look at this scene and listen to what he's saying.
Powerful scene.
And I was like, because for me, that shit that I've been saying for years, man, it's like, I love art, you know, and I love being an artist. And one thing I know about being an artist is like, I can never settle for what I'm doing now, because I know next year, if I'm truly going to evolve, I'm going to hate what I'm doing this year right now. So I got to constantly improve. I got to constantly work. I got to constantly learn. Right? Like, even when you came here today, you saw me working on stuff, and I was like, yeah, man, I'm working on this project, and now I got to learn this other shit. I got to gather all my paper and get ready for it. And watching the series so far, and it was just something that was just like a reminder. And there's I've seen a lot of movies on artists and a lot of shows on artists, and they're not that good. That are typical bullshit stories.
Right.
And I think this one, the way it's shot, the way they filmed it, the way they're doing the storytelling of the flashbacks and forth, I think it's great. And I've only saw 3 episodes and I'm already hooked.
It's a great show.
You know?
It's an intense show. If you're an artist, a lot of it's going to resonate with you, with the ideas of being an artist and having some kind of weird personality traits or quirks or, you know, temper issues or, man, I mean, without spoiling it, he made women fight over him.
Literally.
That was amazing.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Anything else you got going on?
Right now, I had an epiphany today. I was doing a few things. I was working on a few projects, but now I narrowed it down to I'm only going to do my sketch cards. I'm only going to do canvas paintings, and I'm only going to do editorial illustrations. And I'm going to do a bunch of stuff in between to keep me busy, but I'm not going to show anything anymore. I'm only going to show those 3 things because I want to get out of the industry that I'm in. So it's time for me to just start focusing on that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. What about you?
Really working on videography. I've always liked movies and stuff, as I'm sure people know. But like being behind the camera to actually put things together it's a whole different thing. And I'm just kind of giving myself a crash course in filmmaking and the tools that are needed and the vision that's needed and how to project your idea into scenes, stuff like that. You know, framing, how you can tell a whole story just by framing your scene and the lighting of it. So just mostly working on my video stuff, still doing pictures and all that, but really focusing in on video and getting a grasp.
Spike Lee is teaching a masterclass on filmography.
I saw it's that masterclass on masterclass.com.
Like I sent it to my boy who does film in Texas, and I was like, I didn't tell him to buy it, but I was like, listen to what Spike Lee is saying, because he was like, he's like, when I made this movie, I didn't have a budget. I had to do this, I had to do that. He's like, to make somebody seem powerful, you shoot from the bottom. To make somebody seem weak, you shoot from the top. And it was like that little clip. I was like, and he's just talking about how he had to hustle to make his first film.
Right.
I was like, that's dope. Man.
Yeah.
That was inspiring. That little clip right there. I was like,
yeah, I saw that clip. I don't know how I feel about the masterclass, mostly because the ones that I'm interested in have not been rated super well.
Yeah, none of them have been.
Yeah, everything I've heard, it's been very mediocre.
Yeah, it's all bullshit.
So I don't know. I mean, for $108 a year, you get complete access, or each one's like $90 or something like that. Yeah. Like Annie Leibovitz has one, and every photographer who I know who bought it was like, man. And we're talking about photographers that aren't as nearly as successul as Annie.
Yeah,
are just like, man, I've been on that shit. You know,
that's the problem with that stuff.
Yeah. You know, it's just that what you can't teach in that class, in these master classes, is good timing and people you know. Sometimes you just end up at the right party at the right time. You meet the right person, and they hook you up, and it just snowballs. And a little bit of luck is involved in becoming famous and being at the top of your profession. And
I applied to Society of Illustrators to be a member.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to pay dues and stuff if I'm selected. But they have like a criteria, and I'm like, the only reason I did it is because I don't have a network.
Right.
And if any of my artist friends are listening to this shit, I don't have a fucking network because artists in New York, besides Gomez, we work together all the fucking time. But people don't work. People don't share their resources. Like I know guys who are top level designers. I know people who are in the videos and music videos and fashion and movies and I know people who do comics at Marvel and they're independent comic artists. People don't connect. People don't network. You know, and I'm tired of that shit. You know, and I've been listening to like a lot of podcasts on that, and they're like, yeah, man, you gotta if you have the skills and you have this and that, and you're still not getting work, it's your network. And I'm like, just like you said, it's like sometimes it's just being at the right party.
Yep.
So I was like, I applied to the Society of Illustrators. Hopefully, I'll get accepted. You know, and
You have to provide a portfolio, I'm guessing.
yeah, I send them my online stuff, and they just want to make sure like you're a published artist, you're
Right.
illustrator, which I am technically. You know,
Yeah.
I'm published, and I've been working in a graphic design industry. But they have different categories. They have like a graphic design category, which for like graphic designers, art directors, that type. But I want to have the illustrator category because the illustrator category I can enter into the competitions. Right, so if they let's say they say, oh well, you're not an illustrator for us, but you're a graphic designer, and we can give you a membership for that. But I'm like, it's the same fee. I just can't enter the competitions. I'm like, no, I want to enter the competitions. I want to be able to go to these events and really network with people.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why I'm doing it. So,
Are there a lot of big illustrators? Like, is that a big thing that people go
Yes.
to? It's a big thing in the
Yes.
industry?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you got to be a part of it.
And their membership also gives me access to like the majority of museums in the country.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's like a whole network.
That's
It's
pretty
like
dope.
once you're a member, you can go to any of these museums for free.
Wow.
So yeah, it has like, but there's dues to pay. It's expensive. It's not cheap.
What's expensive?
A lot. So
Damn, really?
yeah, but it's like if you're serious, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm willing to take the risk. You know, I'll put up the money, but I want to. So I've been checking my email for like the past 4 weeks now, and I'm like,
Damn.
they said it'll take up to 4 weeks, and I'm like, like I sent that. I remember when I applied, they sent me an email, like a dummy email back. Oh, we
Sure.
got this, and then the next day, they sent me like a personal email, like, listen, we got your stuff. We're gonna look at it. Okay, blah 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 blah, and it says, says some information. I'm like, oh man. Now I'm just waiting. I'm
Now
like,
they're just looking.
that's why I've been like revamping my website, making sure it's crisp and clean. I have all the information. I'm like,
Well, there you go. That's you seem
Yeah,
very like it's a big thing for you.
well, it's like you said, it's like the network is important, man.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of time, like when people talk about, oh, I made it on my own, I did this, I'm like, man, like I'm a self-made person, right? And like most really self-made people, they'll tell you like, yeah, you need
People.
You only can go so far on your own,
Yeah.
right? So when anybody tells you, oh, they did it all on their own, I'm like, you're lying. You didn't do it all. It's impossible for you to do it all on your own.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you just said it's like, yeah, sometimes it's about where
Luck.
you were at.
It's just
luck.
luck. You meet
know?
you meet somebody and like, hey, your photographer, my photographer just fucking took a shit on me. Can you do me a favor and fill in?
Like there's certain artists that I really admire, right? Like I mean, I admire them to the like if they were to teach me, I'm like, cool. And when they like my stuff online, it makes me like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like seriously. And it's not just like a fluke, it's like they like a few of my pieces. I'm like, well, they're definitely like looking at my work. So it makes me want to do better work and keep I'm
Absolutely.
like, well, I have their attention. It's not just a fluke, right? They're really like, oh, they know who I am now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
man. You know?
No,
just wanna
I know the feeling. I have a couple of photographers that I very much admire, and they've recently started following me.
Yeah.
And two very different types of photographers. One's a very old school photojournalist who's I think retired, is very famous. Then the other one is an up and coming fashion photographer, and they both followed me in the same week, and they both went through my page and liked specific photos, not just the latest 3 that I posted that bots do, but they scrolled through and they picked very similar ones. And I was like, oh my God, these are 2 people that I admire, and they're liking my work. They're seeing what I'm doing. It sounds super nerdy, but it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like imagine being a fucking fan of wrestling, and then The Rock says, "Hey man, I like your performance you just did in this fucking this shithole promotion that you work at." You'd probably be fucking stoked. You'd be like, "Oh my God, The Rock just said this about my wrestling." Blah 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 blah. You know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Fucking, whatever. Football player tells a little kid, nice throw. It's a lot. It means a lot.
Yeah, it does mean a lot. But yeah, I guess to wrap it up, I've reached a certain point in my career, and I'm all in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wherever it takes me,
Gotta go.
I'm with it. Luckily, there's been a store by the day job that has like 70% off art supplies.
Buying up art supplies.
So whenever I get an idea, I'm like, I'm down there. I'm buying shit I'm like, oh, I got an idea to do this, and I'm like, fuck
You're
it.
a good customer.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Chico and the Grin, Cinco de Mayo edition. We always support your listening ears or your time. Give us a feedback on iTunes and Google Play. Send us an email, chicoandthegrin.com, chicoandthegrin@gmail.com, or you can reach us on Instagram at Chico and the Grin. We're super active on Instagram, so if you have anything to say, feel free. Sparks coming to the microphone, being a cat, being a little kitty cat. All right. I'm half your host, Chico.
She's tired. I'm the other half, the Grin.
And this was your Cinco de Mayo podcast. Enjoy
Yeah.
your margaritas safely.
Viva la raza.
Peace.